What's going on, everybody? We are live tonight. We're going to talk about sit starts, all kinds of crazy stuff. Who knows what's going to happen on this show? And that show was going to start, I don't know, let's say, Red Buck.
Smells like football, baby.
What up, guys? Welcome back. We're doing the live stream, the pre-gaming Thursday night. I'm your host, Kyle, the Fantasy Football Smackdown. You can follow me at KyleFFFellas. And with me, as always, my buddy from the Word on the Streets podcast, Bob, the Three-Toed Warrior. What up, Bob? You ready for your Broncos tonight?
Ready for my Broncos. Got my pregame on. And it's episode 50.
Yeah, congrats, man. That's a big deal.
Nice. Yeah, that's all right. It's all right. It's not bad. You know, nothing like you gentlemen, you know. But baby steps.
We do have another great guest this week. Might have one more coming in later. Well, I won't introduce him that way. Nobody, harasses him about it. But John, the Monocle. What up, bro? How you doing, man? Tell the people about yourself.
Yeah, thanks for having me on again, guys. Love coming on here. I think this is my third time on at least Bob's show.
Yeah.
First time on the new Thursday night show. So I'm Dynasty Coach A on from the Monocle at Monocle Dynasty, and actually it's at Dynasty Monocle. I think I can't even remember.
All good.
It's one of those things.
All right, what nights are your shows, or what days?
Well, we actually just switched it up because this is the first season that I've done it. We started in March and we were basically doing like Mondays and Thursdays, and then in season that's kind of difficult because there's football going on and everything. And so I just switched it to Wednesday nights is probably going to be when the pod actually goes, or I'm sorry, Wednesday mornings. I'll be recording Tuesday nights, and Wednesday mornings the pod will go out. And then we're doing a live stream on Mondays, like right before football starts, kind of like you're doing tonight on Thursday nights. So We're doing something kind of similar there. But basically just trying to like go with the flow of the actual week, because it's a lot more difficult when you're trying to, look at waivers and everything that happened and like the weekly recaps. I was trying to do a recap on Sunday nights, and that's just so tough after watching football all day and trying to like look through your notes, and it's like, holy crap, it's tough.
Dude, the struggle is for real, man. Dude, so it's funny. I didn't realize that you were that new to the game. And for the people out there, you got to check this out, because the Monday night stream, I love the pre-gaming, the game type thing. We're not here just to talk about Thursday nights, right? Like just like you might talk about Monday on your show.
Broncos
but it's at Monocle Dynasty, guys. So check it out.
Thank you.
Live
completely
stream
forgot.
You're good. But I've been doing I was doing the show with my buddy for years, man. And the first couple of years we were doing like a bunch of shows a week and trying to figure out a good rhythm. And you're right, man. It definitely it's a lot of work. You got to be working 2 days ahead of everything, right? But that for the last 2 years, I had been doing a recording Sunday night, dropping Monday morning recap show. And dude, you have to be plugged in all day, like you said, to have all your notes together. So I totally understand the fight, the inner fight. You want to do it right, but the work to put in is really tough. So, but we're glad that you're here tonight, man. We're gonna have a lot of fun talking some start sits.
All right.
Yeah, I appreciate it. That was a lot of fun. The first recap that I did in week 1, I was so excited for football. I grilled out. I smoked some meats and stuff. I had a lot of beer, and then I was like, oh crap, I have to record something. And at the end of the night, I'm sitting there trying to record, and I was just like, oh my God. Actually, if you go back and listen to it, I actually think I did a somewhat okay job for as drunk as I was, but I was just like, no, I can't do that anymore.
Dude, that's awesome. Yeah, that's a balancing act for sure. For sure. So obviously this is our second week of doing the live stream. If you guys are watching us right now, appreciate you guys tuning in. If you got questions, drop them in the comments. Love listening, or love covering the listener questions that you guys have out there. If you're listening to this on the re-air on the Word on the Streets feed or the SmackDown feed, and you're not checking us out on Thursday nights, you're missing out, man. We just hang out for an hour before kickoff. We're talking about our favorite start sits. And this is now the second week we're doing this stream with Bob and myself, and we're going to have some great guests coming in here every week. So this has been a lot of fun. So check out the live stream each week.
And before we get hot and heavy into this starts, we're going to talk hot and heavy. There's going to be a bonus episode in about a week or so, because Daddy just got his hot sauces in. We have a hot sauce challenge. Hot One style. I'm gonna be interviewing some league mates on their season, on who's hot, who's not, and the wings are gonna be hot. It's gonna be a good time. So
All right.
yeah, we're gonna be sweating in the hot seat, and it's gonna be a good time. We're gonna air it as a show. So
Dude,
bam, just drop that on you.
I'm looking forward to that, man. That should be a lot of fun. We'll have a old friend of the show, Seth, producing that. We're gonna make it happen. We're gonna make him do it.
Hell to the yes.
So, man,
why don't you kick into some big news? Some big news.
Me
or me?
I mean, well, you talking about the surprise bye weeks?
Surprise bye weeks, exactly. The news.
I do want your guys' thoughts on this because I commish. At this point, I think I actually do know the number. I commissioned 7 leagues, and the reason I even know that is because I've been posting every day. It seems like in there, like, here's what's happening, here's the rules, here's what's happening, here's the rules, here's what's happening, and trying to keep everybody updated. But obviously, if you're listening to this, you're plugged in, right? Titans in the Steelers game was initially postponed. Maybe it was going to be Monday, maybe Tuesday. Now it's going to be postponed until later in the season for what they're saying right now. So they haven't announced anything official as of yet. But as far as week 4 goes, and what we're talking about today specifically is that neither of those teams are going to be playing. So I will note this for those of you out there, other commissioners. There was this, again, this isn't official as of recording this, but this was from, I believe, Pro Football Talk. They said that there is an opening in the schedule where they could shift the Steelers and the Ravens game later on in the year, and the bye week lines up where they could then replay this game, the scheduled Titans and Steelers game, in that opening spot. So that would be, they would move the game to looks like week 8. So I know we talked about this on the SmackDown show a lot going into the season. How are we going to address COVID related items? Put in a lot of COVID IR rules and all of those things. And now we have 2 teams that in essence have a bye week into week 4. So John, I'll start with you. If you commission any leagues, or if you're in any leagues, like, how have you guys been handling this? What's your advice to fantasy players out there and commissioners?
Well, basically, I only commissioned 1 dynasty league, so I'm basically in that one. Before it was announced that it was delayed or postponed, completely, I basically just said, if the games are played on Monday or Tuesday, obviously Monday wouldn't be an issue. But if it was played on Tuesday, like, the points will go in. I don't care if I have to manually enter them or whatever I have to do. It'll be fine. I just wanted to be out ahead of it so there was no complaints or anything. And I did that, I think, like 2 days ago, whenever they announced that they might postpone it to Tuesday. And so, I just put it out there. And then I said, also make sure that you DM me or do whatever and make sure I know a backup player. So if the game got postponed, or didn't get played at all, like that kind of thing, that they could do it. But obviously, that I could put that player in for them. But obviously, with it being canceled before the Thursday night games, before any games got played, you don't even need that. I mean, I'm basically treating it as a bye week. Now, I know, like, obviously different leagues are run different ways. And, some people have to where COVID can go onto IR. Some people don't, or some leagues do, some don't. But basically, I have all my leagues set so that COVID players can go into IR, and like in Sleeper, those COVID or all those players are now considered COVID out. And so you can put them into IR in my leagues. Now, I've had some people complain that it should just be kind of a bye week for them. And so why are they getting put on the IR? But I mean, the way I'm seeing it's just one of those things where, like, if the rules are set a certain way, like, as long as you're playing within the rules, then you're doing nothing wrong. And so, not everyone might like it, but I mean, Sleeper made it so that you can, put these people into IR, and in my leagues, a COVID player can go into IR. So no one's doing anything wrong,
Yeah.
And I want to get to Bob, but and for you guys playing out there on different platforms, Sleeper did make that call where anyone on the Steelers or the Titans are now designated as COVID IR eligible. So if your league setting allows for that, like John's, then you can put them in there. Yahoo, I believe ESPN, the same, MFL, everywhere else that I have leagues on, pretty much has set that those teams are just on bye and they're not on any COVID IR list. So just adjust for your leagues and obviously know your rules. Bob, I know you commission a bunch of leagues. You do a good job of keeping them updated on what they can't do. What's your thoughts on this, man?
Well, luckily I have a good source when it comes to keep my leagues informed. So me and Kyle share a bunch of leagues. Kyle puts out this message and I just copy, paste, edit a few words, and posted in my league. So it's been great. That's the way I like to roll. Easy breezy. Let's keep it simple. So, but no, you know what? When you look at it, there's not, luckily, we're not talking about Atlanta and Dallas going down with COVID, right? That's a very big fucking difference than than the Titans who have a great running back, a decent quarterback. I know his name. Drink, damn it.
Yeah. So you're talking about Derek. You have Henry, obviously Ben, Juju, Johnson, Deontay Johnson. Like I get it.
I mean,
it's a handful of players.
Is AJ Brown really already back and fully ready to go? Where you trust him in his?
Oh no, this was great for AJ Brown.
Right, exactly. So no real loss there. A little bit more on the other side of the ball, but
I think the biggest thing, and whether it's what John said in my leagues, like I had to put out like, hey, we said that only NFL COVID IR players could be put there. So even though like Sleeper as an example is one of those leagues, I said you can't put them in IR because we established it was this. So just follow whatever rules you guys have in place. John did a great job, I think too. He mentioned it, getting out there early, trying to get ahead of it, making sure that it was established so that it's not that, oh, now there's a call that's made and I'm trying to make a decision on the fly. Because honestly, guys, this is, and the reason I wanted to spend time talking about this topic too, is this probably isn't going to be the last time we run into this. It's probably going to happen again. So I think, what John mentioned is if the game is played on Monday or Tuesday, if this happens again, it counts for, that week that it was meant to be played in. If it gets postponed, then, those players or teams essentially will have a bye that week or could be IR eligible depending on your league rules and how you decided to work through this. But, cut your commissioners some break if they're doing a good job. Like these gentlemen here up here have done, man. Just, at the end of the day, someone's got to make a call and it's got to be fair. And if you don't think your commissioner is doing it fairly, you might want to double check why you're in the league, because if you can't trust your commish, then, you might be in the wrong spot. So any final thoughts on just that topic as a whole, I guess, like how to handle it, what to do with those players, any tips?
I've basically found, as a commissioner, I've only, like I said, I'm only a commissioner of one dynasty league, but I've been a commissioner of redraft leagues for years and years and years. And I basically found that if you're very clear about things early on, then it's usually better. Like, even if people don't always agree with it, it's usually better than trying to like figure stuff out after the fact. And that's when you start like losing people in your leagues and like people fighting with other people and things of that nature. So even if everyone doesn't agree with the whole like COVID players going on IR thing, the fact that I put it out there and like, this is how it's going to be, they might not necessarily agree with it, but it's usually going to be better than like they realize later on that, oh wait, why is that player on IR? Like that kind of thing,
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Agree completely. Yep. All right. Let's get into these sit starts, baby. Let's help people set their lineups tonight. I know those questions are coming in. And if you're listening tomorrow morning, you're like, damn it, I missed the show live again. I didn't get to ask my questions live on air. You can always hit me and Kyle up at KyleFFFellas and me at Bob's Three Toed on Twitter. And we're more than glad to answer your questions. So it's always interesting I like to ask my people, let me know how it goes. I want to know if my call was right. And sometimes people tell me, and sometimes they don't. So, all right. So why don't we start with our guest here, John? Why don't you give us your first start of the week? So what we're really kind of targeting here is, obviously you have your 1 through 12 are pretty chalk plays, right? Typically speaking, unless you're dropping them out for some reason. But then when you start getting into those players that are 13 and beyond, that's where we're making decisions, especially if you only have so many flexes and things like that. So we're trying to help people have an idea of who's better than who's what. And before we jump into that, we're going to get a question in from one of our listeners, because why not? Mr. Darren Gray out there on the YouTubes.
Yeah.
Says, what's up, guys? PPR scoring. We taking the judge, Mr. Judy? Or is it going to be all about the gold with Mr. Tate? I got to look.
If you wanted me to start, I'm assuming it's Golden Tate. I'm hoping it's not Auden Tate.
I think you're probably right.
I actually thought about this. I actually thought about possibly making Judy one of my starts, just because of, like being, I really went like deeper than just like even like, 13 through 16, like that kind of thing, because it seemed like there was a lot of good matchups this week. And so I didn't want it to just be like obvious, like obviously you're playing this guy or that guy,
right.
That kind of thing. Judy seems to have, pretty good control over that, that wide receiver core right now with Sutton being out and everything. But obviously with it being Rippin in there, I really couldn't pull the trigger to actually do it, but it did cross my mind. So with everything going on with the Giants right now, I think it's just as bad as that. So I kind of want to lean Judy still. I don't know about you guys.
It's funny because me and Kyle are exact opposites on him. It might end up on a wall somewhere. But I've got Tate at 50. He's got him at 37. Consensus is around 48. And then I've got Judy around 42. He's got him around 48. So I'm liking Judy a little better. That might be a little hometown bias. But I can see him having a good night. And Tate against San Francisco. The defense is a little shooken up, but I don't think it's that bad. Kyle?
Yeah, and for what you're looking at, James, if you're looking at the sheet, I don't think I threw mine in there, so that's not updated.
Sorry. Actually, Tate's not up against San Fran. They are up against the Rams, I believe.
That was last week.
That's because somebody updated the show doc.
I'm the one who's apparently supposed to update the ranking sheet. So I would lean Tate. I know that Judy is obviously the better, would be the preferred prospect going forward, even in redraft leagues. I like his outlook on a week-to-week basis, but with Rippin being under center, that just, for me, that's a little scary. I think that when you're talking about the Rams, they're a little bit more vulnerable in the middle of the field, underneath those targets that Tate is usually going to get. We didn't necessarily see it last week as much as that offense did continue to struggle, but I think Tate will have a better week this week, and he's the guy I would lean. So Darren, it's a little bit of a split room, 2 against 1 though, going with Judy. So good luck tonight, and anybody listening on the re-air knows at least what Judy's results were.
Yeah, actually, I just thought of a rule that I usually go with, which is don't play, like if there's a tie, don't play the Thursday night guy. And so I'm actually going to switch over to Tate. I'm starting Tate in a couple of leagues because of like the whole Titans and Steelers thing. So you know what, just start Tate.
There you go. We'll go with that.
Homerism. Let's go. All right, let's go ahead and give up your first start of the week. John, sorry.
Sorry about that. Yeah, basically, like I said before, I really feel like there's a lot of good matchups this week. And so it was kind of tough to it was way too easy to pick some. And so I went a little deeper. And the first one was David Johnson. And I know like on other shows and everything, I've heard his name mentioned, but it still seems like at least your normal average dynasty player is probably pretty scared of David Johnson and everything, Texans related. But the truth of the matter is he has a 96% snap share. And he's basically getting all of the touches with Duke Johnson out. There's really no one else to get the touches. And as far as I know, Duke Johnson's, I know he was limited in practice, but it didn't sound like he was going to play. So it basically looks like another week, but they've had a crazy schedule to start off the season. I mean, they've gone up against some really tough teams. They had the Ravens, they had the Steelers, and I forget who they played week 1, but
Kansas City, yeah.
Kansas City.
Oh, Kansas City. That's right. So, even their defense is better than most people realize, but he actually had a pretty good week, and he actually looked good that week.
Yeah.
The Vikings run defense hasn't been that bad, but like their pass defense has been absolutely terrible. So I really see him like getting the red zone touches. They get the ball to Will Fuller, they get the ball to Brandon Cooks, in between the 20s, and then they get into that red zone and they start feeding him the rock. Obviously, we know he can catch and everything. I could see it being a good game. Not saying he's going to go out and win your week for you or anything, but I mean, he could easily get you, 15 PPR points, something around there, possibly even more if he scores a touchdown or two, because that Vikings defense is bad, man.
All right.
Yeah, I like the call, John. This is a get right week, I think, for Watson, Johnson, and for me, I really like Brandon Cooks. I have Johnson at 18. I think he's a really solid start and somebody that people will probably want to try to get away from, just because he's been disappointing the last 2 weeks, but I think that's a solid call as a start.
I see what you did. You hid them from me, so I couldn't do
No, I got it done this afternoon. I'm like, again, I'm living this good life where we're recording on Thursdays now, not Wednesday.
I get it. I didn't have my lunch break at work. I get it.
Yeah, I got to I'll get that right going forward for you.
Copy
Sorry,
and paste. Copy and paste.
I know.
All right. No, I like that call. And you know what? If you are a person who's interested in picking up some of those Texans players, you might want to start throwing the offers out. I don't know, right now.
Yeah.
While you're listening to the show.
Yeah.
So get him in there before this week happens. Kyle, let's hit over to one of your starts of the week.
Yeah. My first start of the week is another running back. I actually have him ranked just one spot above David Johnson. I think he's going to be in for a really nice week based off the matchup too, even though it's on the road. I'm going with Devin Singletary, and I think he's going to hit pay dirt this week. Even if Zach Moss is active, I still feel pretty confident about starting Singletary, at least as an RB2. Right, he's going up there. Bills are traveling to Vegas to play the Raiders. And so far through 3 weeks, the Raiders have given up the most fantasy points to running backs this season. They've given up 7 total touchdowns through those 3 games as well. And I think there's going to be some opportunity for Singletary this week to be a solid RB2 when you usually kind of feel more comfortable with him as a flex. So some guys that I'd start Singletary over, Kareem Hunt, who's a little bit dinged up, but I have Singletary a couple spots ahead of him regardless of health. I have him ahead of Todd Gurley, David Montgomery, who's now riding Han Solo there in the Bears backfield, and Mike Davis, everybody's waiver wire, darling from a week ago. Those are some guys I have a few spots just behind Devin Singletary, and you might have to make some calls on. So I'd play Singletary over like Myles Gaskin as well, who's another guy that you might have on your roster that you have to make a tough decision on. So I think this is a big week for the Bills running game, and Devin Singletary is a start for me.
Okay. I love Devin Singletary, so I'm not going to knock it.
I know, and you own him in a lot of leagues, so I hate to give Singletary advice because I know you have him, but
I think you don't have to give me advice. I'm going to start him or not, so I'm good.
Yeah.
With Moss back, it does scare me a little bit with Singletary personally, but I want to see him take it over and get.
I don't think Moss is quite ready to be back. Like he's going to play probably, but I don't think he's going to be that 100% or he's not going to be up to 100%. So I do like the call, and I know you were saying like whether he was healthy or not, but it seems like Hunt's not going to play at this point, which is great for my Nick Chubb shares. But it just doesn't seem like he's going to play. I mean, groin strains are no bueno.
Yeah, speaking of people who may or may not play, for those who are watching live, and Jameson Crowder is probably going to play.
Yeah, he's active.
Yeah, how confident are you though?
No,
that hammy. That hammy. Are you
even
playing?
He already said he's not 100%, but he's going to give it a go. That's great and everything. But
last person said he wasn't 100% retired in the middle of the season.
Yeah, I wouldn't be making that move.
All right.
No, I don't think so.
I pulled him out of my roster. We'll find out if I was wrong for doing it, but whatever. All right. Let's go to me. So I was just scanning. That's why I came up to that news. I was just scanning to see what Fournette could. It sounds like Leonard Fournette could well be out for the Broncos. Wow. Buccaneers on Sunday. Ronald Jones could be busy against the Chargers. I'm going to go with that guy right there. Is that crazy? I know it's on somebody's sit list.
I was going to say, should we go ahead and talk about that?
Oh, we should go ahead and talk about that.
Yeah, let's battle it out.
Jones by himself in the backfield on a decent offense. What do you got against it? How about that?
Well, honestly, like that's exactly what I said. I think, people, it looks like Fournette's not going to play. It said it was an ankle injury. That was actually the first I'd heard, because it was just like they held him out of practice and they never actually gave him an injury designation. And then finally today I saw it was an ankle injury. Who knows, when he actually heard it, if it was in practice or whatever, but it doesn't seem like he's going to play. And so that's why I put Ronald Jones, because I think people are going to be excited. If Fournette was playing, I don't think anyone's excited to play Ronald Jones.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah,
I was literally had my finger above the cut button earlier this week.
Yeah, exactly. So, like that does help. And I'm not saying like don't start him in any situation or scenario or anything like that. But the Chargers run defense has only allowed 69, 38 and 46 rushing yards to the lead running backs that have faced them so far. So, I mean, Ronald Jones is not amazing to say the least, and so like that run defense, I know they're injury decimated at this point, but the run defense is still good, and I don't think I would trust it. I mean, there's always the chance that he could get a little touchdown here or there, but he's not a huge part of the passing game. He's not going to get you a lot of PPR points or anything, so you're basically banking on him scoring a touchdown with like 42 yards or something at that point.
Sure. So would you start him or would you start Crowder?
Oh man, PPR.
Yeah.
Like I don't even think I would. I don't even think I would have Crowder on my team if it wasn't PPR.
Right,
exactly. Man, I think I might start Crowder.
Yeah, that was my decision earlier, and I said, "Fuck it, I'm not going with the guy who is injured. I'll go with the guy who has the backfield to himself. I'll take that chance."
Yeah,
and I totally agree. He could be a total bust, a complete and total bust. But Godwin isn't there. Scotty isn't there, so there's some opportunity for him even in the passing game. So
no, that's definitely true.
All right, here we go. Mr. Big Andy B says, "Is Joe Mixon worth starting?"
Yes.
I think the answer is yes. Does anybody disagree with yes? I know it's been hard to do with as not great as he's been when you drafted him in the I don't know.
He's going against the Jaguars. He's playing the Jaguars.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you need to say any more?
Yeah, the Jags have done a pretty decent job on the ground against people so far this year in comparison to what like you would think. So I do like Joe Mixon as I think he's 13th for me this week. So he's definitely a start, no doubt. But if you lucked into like, I'd start James Robinson over him in that same matchup going head to head. Like I would go James Robinson over him, and I would go like Jonathan Taylor. I think is pretty obvious right now too. Like those could be some guys that, hey, if you drafted Taylor in round 5 and you already have a stud in round 1 and you picked up James Robinson, like maybe Mixon doesn't make it into your lineup. But outside of that, man, I feel pretty confident about Mixon as a mid to high RB2 this week with RB1 upside in this matchup.
Yeah, it's hard to bench someone who everybody's got slated as that RB1.
Yeah,
I mean, you got a lot of drop before you get to out of 2.
Yeah, no doubt.
Exactly.
Right. Okay. Thank you for that question. We appreciate it. Keep them coming. All right. Next up, let's flip over. John, we'll flip over to you, even though we kind of did a quasi group effort. Let's go with. Do you have another start for us?
Yeah, and this one's going to be kind of similar, like one of those guys that everyone's like, nah, I don't want to play this guy, I don't want to start him. And it's OBJ. He's basically had the one good game so far, but he actually has a 28.2% target shares so far, like throughout 2020, and I mean that's like rare territory. Not too many wide receivers get up there. Now, of course, it's a low volume offense, so 28% hasn't really turned into very much. But I really feel like him and Baker haven't fully been on the same page, except for that 1 week, except for the week against the Bengals when everyone was watching him. It was like, oh, OBJ's back. And then in week 3, OBJ wasn't back and everyone's like, all right, I got to bench him. But like they rank 30th in pass plays per game as far as the Browns, but they're going up against the Cowboys, who have the 5th worst pass defense or the 27th ranked pass defense in the league. And, obviously one of the best offenses in the league. Like there's no way that the Browns are going to keep up by just running Nick Chubb 42 times or anything like that. Like I would love to see that once again as a Chubb fan, but
add on top of that, if Hunt actually doesn't play, that's just a few more passes that are available, to OBJ on top of that. Not that, 4 passes makes a huge difference. He gets 2 more of those that could, be that touchdown pass. So
OBJ is the kind of guy that, where it can, like 2 extra passes can make a difference. He could break one for 40 yards and a tutty. So, he still has the 13th most air yards, even though it's been a low volume offense and everything. So, I think he's a good start. It's one of those things where, I wouldn't be benching him for just any random player or anything like that. I definitely starting him as like a wide receiver 2 at the very least.
All right. All right, Kyle. Who you got starting? Who you starting?
Dude, I'm going just like OBJ. I think has a really good matchup against a pretty poor Cowboys secondary. I'm going to go to Miami, and this offense I think is going to be putting up some major points this week. They're going to be at home against Seattle. We just saw them play the Cowboys and Dallas light them up for over 450 passing yards. I think Fitz continues his magic that we saw last week. I have Fitzpatrick, ranked at the edge of my top 12 of QBs. I think he's a solid start. But my starts are Devontae Parker and Preston Williams. I think you need to roll both these guys out in your lineup. I have Parker at wide receiver 14. I would play him over guys like Adam Thielen, Keenan Allen, Kenny Galladay. Those guys are coming off. A few of those guys have touchdowns this last week. I think Parker is going to be a stud. And in Preston Williams, I have it wide receiver 24. This is a guy that I think that, I'm playing him over Edelman, Robbie Anderson, AJ Green. Seattle has I talked about last week with the Cowboys that heading into week 3, they had 6 wide receivers catch at least 6 passes and 70 yards against them. That number is now up to 9 because 3 Cowboys wide receivers did it last week. This pass defense is horrendous. They're really bad in the slot. I mean, they were really bad on the outside as it was anyway. We saw Michael Gallup put up some big numbers, but the slot also is just a disaster area for the Seattle Seahawks defense. So if I have a Dolphin on my team, he's pretty much going to be in my lineup, I think, which feels weird to say, but against this defense, man, I think they're going to have to keep up with Russell Wilson. So I'm starting Parker and Williams with confidence this week.
So how pissed would we all be if Russell Wilson doesn't cook this week?
It's impossible.
We have a 22-22 damn type score. Because he's been playing big offenses and stuff like that, and he's had to get in the kitchen, right?
Here's another one, man. Miami Dolphins, baby.
Yeah, no, I mean,
I think
you saw what they put up against freaking Jacksonville.
That's true. The last
not
week,
even chasing
last Thursday night. I mean, I think this is going to be a high scoring game. And I want a piece of that. And the cheaper route to go is, these Dolphins guys that may not have been in your lineup the last few weeks, and probably rightfully so. I know Parker's been a little bit dinged up, but I'm putting these guys in plug and play. I think it's going to be a high scoring game that you want a piece of here. I don't know if you guys saw this. It just came in. Alan Lazard, core muscle surgery, out indefinitely. So coming off a huge game for the Packers. I did hear that Devontae Adams got in a practice. It might have been limited probably, but he got a practice in. So that's going to be something to keep an eye on with that Packers receiving options, because they're playing on Monday night. So if Adams is not a go, you could be looking at, even Robert Tonyan could be an option for you guys out there.
Yeah, they're screwing with one of my starts, so I don't appreciate it.
Sorry.
That's 2020 for you. It's just like he had the best game of his career. Oh, he's got to have surgery now.
Yeah, man, I felt so good about plugging him into some lineups this week. I wasn't mad about missing out, on the week 3, because it's like, hey, I wasn't necessarily really expecting that big of a game from him. And, MVS has still been seeing a lot of targets. Last week he didn't, because they kind of faded. They were fading towards him. But, man, it was that was a big game, and now we don't get to really reap the rewards of somebody that looked to be, having a little bit of a breakout there. So
fair question. That's a fair question. So here's a question for you: where do you have Galladay? Since you were disrespecting my man,
Kenny Galladay.
Yeah. Do you know any other Galladays?
Yeah, I was I got him at. That was me pausing so I could look it up. I got him at 18.
Oh, so do I. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I don't mind that.
All right. Never mind. Okay. I just want to make sure you weren't dissing my boy.
No, he's still there. I'm looking forward to seeing, man, if Marcus Lattimore is out. He showed up on the injury report on Thursday. If he is out in that game, I'm gonna bump him up even more. I think Galladay, we like what we saw last week from him. With the touchdown, the volume wasn't there yet, but it's coming, man. And Galladay should be a solid start this week.
So here's a question on the fly. So MVS, no Lazard. And possibly or not possibly or a hobbled. We don't know what we're gonna get out of Devontae Adams. That's why, even though I have him, I might still leave him on the bench. I have a team, one roster that's deep enough I can do that, and that's a good problem to have, but still scary to do. But how do you feel about MVS if he is like the show? And more importantly, how do you feel about the guy I was gonna call the start of the week, and now I can't? That's Mr. Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, that's kind of tough. I don't.
They're playing. Aren't they playing Atlanta?
Yeah, they're playing Atlanta on Monday night.
Yeah,
that's tough. I mean, if Adams plays, I can't bench him because they're playing Atlanta.
Oh, you have to play Adams. If he plays, you have to play him. But with Valdes-Scantling, like I don't think Lazard being out, Adams being out, like any of those guys makes him actually catch the ball. Like I don't think it makes his hands any better. So I still think I might be benching him. Although, like you said, I mean, you made some points, key points there. It's the Falcons defense, and that's all you really need to know. It's kind of like talking about the Seattle defense, like we were just saying with Miami. So I would definitely consider playing him. I have him on a few rosters. Luckily, I mean, my teams are good enough to where I don't have to worry about putting him in. But there's also some other rosters where I might have to trade for him if everyone else is going to be out.
Right.
Yeah.
And Jay Sternberger caught his first NFL catches last week, so that could be an option for you too.
There you go.
I had Lazard at 32 before this news just dropped as we're recording this. So obviously the matchup is awesome. I have it ranked that way with Adams in. I do think Adams can come back. Obviously, you guys can follow us and keep up to date with where we think these guys could rank if things change from that for that perspective with status. But like if I had the matchup is freaking awesome. But I have kind of like my my point of no return, I guess, spot in my rankings is I have Greg Ward right now at 35, who is available everywhere. Anyone could have got him for nothing. He was 1% owned. So am I playing Greg Ward or MVS? Like I'm probably still going to roll with Greg Ward. He's the only healthy wide receiver in Philadelphia, as much as I don't like what Carson Wentz has done. He's the only guy there.
Hold on, no. Back up.
Go ahead.
Carson Wentz
versus
Aaron Rodgers. Give me which one you like better, head to head.
You're talking about you're
is this the quarterback?
Aaron Rodgers.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
The defense of the Atlanta Falcons versus whoever the fuck.
San Francisco, don't care. Yeah, I like Atlanta more, but you're talking about MVS, who literally Rodgers should not and rightfully so trust him. Should not trust him at all. And you're talking about Carson Wentz, who even at the end of last season and last week trusts Greg Ward. So
I had Mark West at 27 without that news that just broke. So that's got to put him in at least mid-20s for me.
That should be your start then. That should be your start.
That should be my start. I'm going with it.
I mean, remember,
that just happened.
Adams was out last week, and Valdez-Scantling played on 92% of snaps, and he still only had a 13.3% target share. So, I mean, obviously, like that was with Lazard having the big game and everything, but he had 4 targets and 1 reception. I still feel I hate to say it, but I think I actually would go Ward there too.
That's fine. It's not a bad call.
I think like guys like for me, like guys like T.Y. Hilton, Keelan Cole, Judy Tonight, Golden Tate, like I would play MVS over those guys just for some upside. But so he probably ends up around 36, maybe my rankings, maybe a couple spots up more. But he's not like an auto start for me just because we've seen it with him before. He's been the guy before. So even if Adams is out, I think you almost have to start Aaron Rodgers unless you want to pivot to like Fitzmagic, right? Because all these other guys that are around him are owned. So unless you have 2 QBs for whatever reason, or you want to burn the roster spot on Fitzpatrick for a week, you're probably just gonna have to roll Rodgers no matter what and hope that he takes advantage of the matchup. But
all right.
Yeah, I think Adams plays though. It's sounding good, I think, for him. So keep an eye out for that. Obviously, we got a long way before Monday night, so a few practices in there still.
Yep. All right. Stay tuned, people. That's what he's saying. Stay tuned. All right, monocle. Put that little monocle glass on. And
I know I need to buy one. I don't know why I don't have one. So
yeah. So me and Monocle started talking on Twitter, and one of my favorite things was their logo. It was like, I love that logo. And then
shout out to MG.
I'm like, I need some peanuts.
He made it. He made it for us. So yeah, I love the logo. It's awesome. But my next start is another one that people do not want to play. I've even heard people like asking me, because I have them on a couple teams, like, oh, who are you going to start at tight end this week? And I'm like, I'm going to start Evan Ingram. Like, what are you talking about? And they're like, well, yeah, but he's terrible. He's garbage. He hasn't done a damn thing. And it's like, he's run the 3rd most routes of any tight end. He has the 7th most targets. He only has the 16th most air yards, but I mean, obviously a third of that is last week when they couldn't get anything going against the 49ers. No, he's not looked amazing, but it's tight end. Like in tight end, all you need is somebody that's going to get, run routes, be targeted, and catch the ball. And we know that he can do all those things. And Evan Ingram's not one of my favorite players or anything, but it's just, there's not that many, especially with the game being canceled, with Jonnu Smith being out, obviously because of it. Even Eric Ebron kind of came on last week. So there's 2 tight ends that you can't play right there.
Dallas Goedert.
Dallas Goedert is on IR. I mean, there's a lot of things. Even tonight, Noah Fant, people would be really excited about playing him, but you have Brett Rippon throwing the ball. Like who knows what's going to happen there? I guess I wanted to tout Judy earlier, but it's like, I don't know. It's tough. So I feel like because of Aaron Donald getting in there from the Rams and like getting the pressure on Daniel Jones, it could be quick dump offs, it could be quick slants. Like it's not going to be any kind of long bombs to Slayton or anything like that. And who knows who's Jalen Ramsey's going to cover. I highly doubt it's going to be Evan Ingram. So I'm not saying I feel amazing about it, but once again, I feel like he's going to do better than he's been doing.
I think that's a great call. I was surprised. I don't have the consensus up in front of me from Fantasy Pros, but I'm pretty sure he was just outside the top 12, Evan Ingram. So if you guys are out there thinking like, is that really like a tough call? Like people are saying you should not start this guy. And I'm with John. I think he's going to be a solid start this week. He fits kind of what I mentioned earlier with the Golden Tate stuff. He fits the kind of targets that can hurt this Rams defense. I have Evan Ingram at 7 this week. I think he's a great start. You're not playing any of the guys you've picked up, the waiver wire guys. John is obviously a guy that was lost. Same with Goddard. Like those are guys maybe you could have paired with Evan Ingram that are now lost. But I'm not rolling like Mo Alley Cox, who's had 2 really good weeks, but it has a tough matchup. Like you're rolling Evan Ingram, people. Like better days ahead. Tough slate. For the Giants to start the year. Better days ahead for Evan Ingram, and it's going to start this week, I think.
Yeah, all good there. Let's go to a quick question. Mr. Darren Gray throws out another question. He said, would you start the man, Mr. Noah Fant, or would you go and pick up Austin Hooper, Dalton Schultz? What? Dalton Schultz? Love that guy. Dropped him 1 year too early because that's just a classic move to do in Dynasty. Or Jimmy Graham. So, anybody want to tackle that bad boy? I'm looking at my rankings, and you said earlier you had the didn't have Fantasy Pros rankings in front of you. I have them, and then I realized they were last week's.
Sorry, I know it's now on my list of things to do. Now I'll check it off the chores list next week. My bad.
There you go. Do the dishes. Change the rankings.
Is Darren? Yep. Is Darren the one that was asking about Judy earlier?
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, if you're starting Fant, do not start Judy. Like, don't do it. First and foremost, I'm not starting Austin Hooper, even though like they do have a nice matchup and everything. I want nothing to do with Hooper. Dalton Schultz only had a 10% target share last week, and in a game that they threw the ball quite a bit. Now Jimmy Graham is interesting, but I don't know if I want to trust Graham, but you're basically talking about Fant with the third string quarterback or Graham with Foles. And I mean, we saw the connection that they had. I think I might lean Graham there.
I'm going to lean with Fant because I think he's going to get the targets from the young guy.
Oh, standard scoring.
Standing the ball. Now we're hoping for a touchdown. So the Broncos are a really high scoring offense. So that's going to help. Yeah. You said it's a different league. Thank you for clarifying that, Darren.
Oh yeah,
I like Fant the most of that group. I think you just have to roll him out there. I unfortunately there's not like a waiver wire gem that you can plug and play at tight end. There were not that many to begin with the last couple of weeks, and now other people are either scooping those up or so those guys have kind of gone away. We talked about either due to injuries or Kittle coming back. Right, we don't have an option with the 49ers tight end, so. Would you guys go with Hooper or Graham? Like if people are dealing with that deeper decision for Sunday, right? Would you go with Hooper or Graham or Schultz?
I think I'm going with Graham there. I mean, I don't want to trust him, like I said, but I definitely don't want to trust Hooper. He hasn't shown anything so far. I mean, at least Graham has some touchdowns to show us. Like he was being targeted in the end zone, in the red zone. We can't even say that for Hooper. Like what has he done? I don't even. I know he has targeted.
Does that play into it for you without Hunt?
Not really. If anything, I would say Landry probably. All right. I'd feel better about Landry or Beckham.
Okay. Yeah, just like to check the pulse there.
Yeah,
sometimes those short area targets end up with a tight end, so that's why I like to ask. So
I like Graham too. Of that, if you have to like go super deep, maybe you lost. I'm in a league like where my only tight end was Dallas Goedert. Like, if you want to take a stab, I don't mind. Jimmy Graham has 3 touchdowns. One of those was from Foles in the second half of that game. So I think it's worth a look, but I mean, it's a tough matchup. All those guys are bottom of the barrel, but yeah, Hooper is just, man, crazy. I thought there's no ways it would be as good as last year, but even I didn't expect this where he's just borderline droppable and even, shallow dynasty leagues almost. It's crazy.
All right. So, Mr. Jernigan, who could be on the damn show if he clicked the button, asked us the question instead. He goes, who would be fired first? Mr. Adam Gase or Matt Patricia? Well, Gase is probably going to lose this week, so that's not going to help him, right? And who the Lions playing this week?
The Lions get the Saints.
Ooh, okay. Yeah. What the Tiger, the runner? Are we going by the hour, the minute, or? I mean, we got to hope Gase gets fired, but.
I mean, the team has actually come out and said that, like the Gase is on the fire, or on the hot seat, or at least,
right.
People around the team have said that. I haven't heard anything about Patricia actually being on the hot seat, except for people like fans and stuff of that nature. So I feel like it would be Gase, but then again, like they have a decent chance of winning tonight just because of, the fact that they're going up against the third string quarterback and stuff. And obviously I know they have their own issues, A, Gase, B, injuries, and everything else. So I'm not saying it's going to be amazing. And I'm kind of hoping for like just some crazy blowout game because everyone expected Monday night to be that, and it really wasn't. And so, I'm kind of hoping for this, just like shootout, not blowout. I'm saying shootout game where it's like just this amazing back and forth. I highly doubt it's going to happen, but that would be amazing.
There you go.
I'm going with C, Dan Quinn.
Yeah, actually, I was going to say that too.
Wow. Ouch.
Yep.
Yeah. They'll be winning. My son earlier said we were talking about the Falcons somehow, and he goes, they're undefeated. I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, they're undefeated because my son only counts to the third quarter. So the Falcons are undefeated in his mind.
That's perfect.
Yeah, there you go. Unfortunately, NFL doesn't work like that, son.
How could they possibly lose? They were up by 20.
Exactly. He's like, I'm going to go get in the car and start the drive now. All right. Whose turn is it? Is it me?
I think it's either you or me.
I'll take it. How about that?
You go ahead. I got one more after, and I'll take it after that.
All right, cool. I'm going Robinson versus Miami. And Robinson sounds pretty chalky because most people have him up in that 11-12, but it's more the fact of confidence chalky. People were grabbing him off waivers a week or two ago. And so it's like,
are you talking James Robinson?
Yeah.
Okay. He's
that was last week.
Yeah,
that was last week, but it's still a good matchup though.
I screwed him with the sheet again. Sorry, guys.
Dang it.
It's still still good.
Whatever.
At Cincinnati.
I think it's probably even better against Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, it might be true.
All right. Against Cincinnati, I was using the sheet to
yeah, my bad. That's on me. You put that on me, guys.
Obviously, all show we're gonna keep reminding you.
I won't make that's a mistake I'll only make once, I'll tell you that.
Okay. No, he's been good. He's been getting the work, and against Cincinnati, I can just see it. And I would start him over Cincinnati's running back that's going to be getting the work. So that's how confident I am in him. But in reality, you're going to start both of them. So as 11, I'm starting him over. Ooh, those are tight ends. Let's slide over a little and go to running backs instead. I'm going to start him over Austin Eckler. I know. Okay. Tough.
Oh man.
Not by far. I'm gonna start both. I'm just saying I'm starting him over. I don't think you really have that decision.
I got you.
I just have him ranked behind him. I got Joe Mixon right behind him at 12. At 15, I got David Montgomery, who now has the backfield to himself against Atlanta. So he's looking a lot sexier than he was a week ago. And I got him over Melvin Gordon, who's at 14. So I'm pretty high on this week just because he's having the backfield against Jacksonville. So there you go.
No, I like it. I don't know. I mean, I know Eckler's going up against the Bucs, and the Bucs have a really good run defense. But with the targets that he's been getting and everything in PPR, I don't know if I would be starting Robinson over him. But like you said, I mean, those are all players that you're going to be starting. Like it's not like, and I really doubt that there's too many teams where you're going to have to make the decision: am I starting this guy or this guy? Like you're just starting them unless you have like some standard league with no flex spots and like that kind of thing.
I agreed. I'm not benching.
Yeah, Robinson's gonna be a monster this week. Get him in your lineup for sure.
All right. So that is that. Let's answer a quick listener question. And I think this will be an easy slam dunk. I already put it up, took it down, put it back up. Cooper Kupp versus DJ Moore. I'm pretty sure we're all confident in Cooper Kupp, or is that just me?
I am confident in Cooper Kupp, especially with the matchup and everything, but I'm also the biggest DJ Moore fan ever. So like, I can't ever say like bench DJ Moore. And I mean, and if you look at the actual numbers that he's had through the first 3 weeks, you can't bench DJ Moore. You can't do it. Now that's that said, like you can't really bench Kupp either. So if you're making that decision, that's a great decision to have. But Arizona's defense is not the best. And so, and like they have one of the fastest pace offenses, or they run the fastest pace in the league, and the Panthers are right there with them. So like literally they could have 70 plays each, or 75 plays each, or whatever. And I mean, it could just be this fast paced game, back and forth. And DJ Moore could, end up having 2-3 touchdowns and, however many receptions. But, I don't hate the Cooper Kupp play either.
Yeah. Right. The matchup for Cup's is solid, so you got to play him. I'll just throw this out on Moore because I still love him this week. He's still inside my top 12. On when you're looking at websites and what the matchup is and where these teams rank, Arizona is technically gives up the second fewest fantasy points through 3 games to wide receivers. But you got to read between the lines. They've played the San Francisco 49ers, who don't even have wide receivers.
Right.
Washington Redskins, who literally have Terry McLaurin the end, and the Detroit Lions last week, who played with Galladay back in his first game. So I just think that Arizona is bigger days ahead for sure, as far as wide receivers going up against the Cardinals.
All right, let's help Chris set his lineup real quick. He says, I don't want to bench either of those guys, but I would have to bench James Robinson, don't do it, or Mike Davis. Oh, if he plays both. Do you take those guaranteed points from the running back?
Bye, Mike. See ya.
Oh, damn you. Come on, man. Mike Davis against
That's
Arizona.
tough because Davis had such a big part of the game. He was such a big part of the game last week, and even towards the end of the week, the previous week. So that's a really tough call. I think just because of the pace of the game and everything, I'm gonna have bye, Mike. I want. I don't know. Robinson is probably the better play, actually. Now that I think of it.
All right.
It's a good problem to have because I have some other teams where I'm looking like, oh God, like this is what I'm left with right now.
Yeah. All right. Why don't we, Kyle? Why don't you hit your last start, and then we'll spin through as many sits as fast as we can as we run into these last few minutes before we hit game time on Thursday Night Football.
Yeah,
we're so excited for.
Yeah, he loves it. I'll be quick with this one. Another tight end for me, weirdly enough, but I'm going with TJ Hawkinson. I really like what I've seen out of him the last few weeks, getting more targets. He has 16 targets. He had 7 last week, even with Galladay back, so you got to like that. I would play Hawkinson over Tyler Higbee, who had a big game a couple weeks ago. I play him over Noah Fant tonight, Hayden Hurst, who is in that shootout matchup against the Packers. Hawkinson is a top 10 tight end for me. The Saints have given up 4 receiving touchdowns to tight ends through 3 weeks. I think Hawk hits pay dirt this week, and he's going to make that tight end position finally look good on your roster. So we'll go with Hawkins as my final start of the week.
Okay, I have Mr. Josh Kelly. This is more of that flex area question, right? I got Josh Kelly as a sit. Now everybody's loving on him, and I get that. They're playing Tampa Bay, and they've got Mr. Justin Jackson back on the field. So I want to see what's going to happen with the 3 of them on the field. And if I don't have to start the question mark, I'm not going to. So I say sit him for that reason alone. Not that I don't believe he's a great running back.
Yeah, no, I agree with that one as well. I think isn't Kelly hurt too? If I remember correctly, like I think he's going to play, but I thought
hell, if he's hurt, that's just,
yeah, it's good picking.
Even better.
Yeah, I'm
sitting
CMC this week, so
yeah.
I'm sitting Barkley.
All right.
No, so my sits were Derrick Henry, Jonnu Smith, Juju. Oh wait, no, I'm just kidding. So I have 2 guys from the same game, and it's just to do it quickly, it's Mike Evans and Keenan Allen in opposite sides, and it's kind of similar arguments. Like both defenses have actually been really good. The Bucks are only allowing 237 passing yards per game so far, and Herbert had 311 and 330 in his first 2 games. So obviously, and Keenan Allen had a pretty good target share there, and I still expect him to be targeted, but if they limit him to only around 230 yards with that pass defense, with that pass rush, then Allen's ceiling is going to be limited. And so it's one of those things. Once again, I'm not saying don't play him at all or anything, but I definitely wouldn't be playing him as a wide receiver 1 or maybe even a wide receiver 2. If you need a wide receiver 3 or a flex spot, I think I'd be okay with it. And then as far as Evans goes, I mean, he's 35th in targets, he's 52nd in air yards, and he only has a 16.7% target rate. So I mean, we know the guy can score touchdowns. Obviously, he's already scored 4 this year. But I hate banking on touchdowns. I hate that.
Sure.
And I just don't want to do it
right there.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, that's really it. I mean, it's just, I guess, my 3 sits were, I didn't even realize it until later on, but like my 3 sits were Evans, Allen, and Ronald Jones. So it's like, I just want to avoid that game altogether, basically.
So you don't think with Godwin, I mean, assuming he's not playing with the hamstring pull, you don't think with Godwin not playing that Edmund, yeah, gets enough work to make it worthwhile to even be your wide receiver too?
I know he was hurt, but like we already saw it when Godwin was out that, he had a decent game, but I don't know. It's more the defense than anything else. Like I do expect him to be targeted. I do expect him to have, but it doesn't seem like they actually have a connection. Evans and Brady, they don't quite have that connection yet. And so I'm just kind of fading it at this point. Well, you're probably going to start Evans, but I would drop him down to like a flex play. I'm not going to be, I'm not going to have him as my wide receiver 1 or anything.
All right. I did a take or leave it on him the other day, and I get to tell you, no, just screw with it. All right. That was a little joke for a couple shows back. Good guy, John. There. All right.
Yep. That was
good. I think we're over to me or you, Kyle?
I'll piggyback on my first one here, and then I'll kick it over to you because it's in the same game. I'm sitting Tom Brady, QB 17 for me this week. I don't like the fact that Chris Godwin's out. Week 2 without Chris Godwin, Tom Brady scored like 9 fantasy points. The matchup is tough. Chargers have only given up 3 passing touchdowns on the year. That includes a game in which they played some guy named Patrick Mahomes. So I'm playing Gardner Minshew over by just a hair if you're rostering both, but. And also Joe Burrow, slam dunk over Tom Brady this week, in my opinion. And even if you have a roster spot to burn, you don't have a second QB, and your only QB is Tom Brady. Ryan Fitzpatrick, I talked about earlier, he's 17% owned in Yahoo leagues. Adam, plug him in and put Brady on the pine for now.
I would definitely play Fitzpatrick over Brady.
Yeah. All right, Bob, what we got?
All right, so I got DJ Moore as my sit. What sit? And I'm not necessarily sitting because he's probably gonna make it to the flex, but if you've got 3 good running backs and you're in a really vanilla league that only starts 2 wide receiver, 2 running backs in a flex, and you might throw that 3rd running back in your flex. I got him down at 17, which is pretty low for a DJ Moore week. I got Devontae Adams above him. Not a surprise there, assuming he's healthy and plays. I have Keenan Allen above him, which I know you're not loving on. I have Cooper Kupp above him. Where in the hell is number 16? Wow, that might be the surprise. I'm having to scroll down for 16. Oh, shit. Oh, crap.
He's still looking at week 1 numbers. No.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at my numbers. It's against last week's numbers. I got Galladay. So I got Galladay close right behind him. I don't know. I don't love him. If you can get away from him, I'm okay with it. I want to see him actually have a good week before I fire him up as my wide receiver 2. That's all.
Trust me,
I'll put him in my 3. I'm not going to put him in my 2 until I have to. That's all. And I have a lot of them.
I literally have him everywhere. So I completely understand the wanting to see a good week come up because I don't know. It's been rough.
I don't know if you saw what he put on his nameplate. It's I think it says Pettis. Because that's what I feel like he is. This year's Pettis. Let's go.
He's getting so many targets.
What's he doing with them though? That's the problem. What the hell is he doing with them?
No, he's actually had some good games. I mean, he had 120 yards in week 2. He had.
He's the touchdown.
He hasn't scored a touchdown. And I mean, I just did a pod on it, not to take it or leave it, but
love it.
But my buys and sells that I put out on Wednesday, and DJ was easily one of the buys because it's like people like you, and it makes sense. Like
I get it.
It makes sense. Like you're saying, like just show me something, just score a freaking touchdown. But when you get that many targets and when you catch that many balls, you're going to score touchdowns. Like the touchdowns will come,
Oh yeah. It's one of my favorite phrases that annoys a lot of people, as many of my phrases do. But Kyle's like, yep. That just means he's due.
Well, he's been due for friggin' what is it now? 19 games because he only had 4 touchdowns last year with all these targets. So you kind of knew going in he's Robert Woods-esque, right? Like he might top out at 6.
He's going to have 4 touchdowns a year. It might be Julio Jones-esque. Getting all the targets and not all the touchdowns.
He'll be fine. He'll be all good.
All right. Well, we are at the 59-minute and 9-second mark. I'm going to have us sign off if we're good here. and we're gonna go enjoy some major, big time football on Thursday night. It's the Broncos. It's the Jaguars. Wait, let me check last week's.
It's the Jets.
The Jets. See, I'm still trying to mess it up with the Jaguars, which I actually think I said earlier as well. They're just both shitty teams. Okay.
Well, yeah, we've already been subjected to one Jags game on a Thursday night. We're done with that. We've moved on to this fabulous Denver and New York game. So,
yeah, well, I think mentally I have a Crowder, DJ Chark start sit question in my mind. So I think that's why I keep bouncing back and forth between the two. All right. John, why don't you remind everybody where you can be found, sir?
Well, hopefully I can remember it this time. But once again, I'm at Dynasty Coach A. I'm at Monocle Dynasty. That's where the show is. You'll have to go to the website. It's actually contenderconnection.com. We have a new website.
Did you say Tinder Connection?
Contender.
Contender.
Connection. I'm sorry. I might have slipped through that, but
slip of the tongue.
Tender Connection, no. Contenderconnection.com, and we're putting articles out there. We're putting a lot of stuff, but we also have our schedule. I'm gonna have to obviously change that now that we're changing it, but we'll have the schedule out, the pods that we're putting out, the articles we're putting out, the Patreon stuff, all that kind of stuff. But you can find it there. You can find like all of the podcasts and everything else that's going on there. So it's pretty cool.
Awesome. Kyle, why don't you let everybody, not that they don't know, but remind them where they can find you and that you want to follow both feeds.
Yep, for sure, man. You can follow me at Kyle FF Fellows. Hit me up if you have any questions, start sits, trade questions, anything like that. Doing the SmackDown episode every Tuesday morning as well. Just quick 15, 20 minutes solo pod where I'm giving you the highlights of all the waiver wire ads that you need to make. So stay subscribed to that feed. And if you're following me on Twitter, of course, waiver wire sniping will drop every single Saturday to get you ahead where you can snipe all your league mates. We had a surprise bye week this week in week 4, but bye weeks will be starting up, scheduled bye weeks in week 5. So it doesn't hurt to take a look ahead, kind of see what's going on before the rest of your league is wasting all their fab money on players that you already have on your roster. So waiver wire sniping. So be sure to subscribe to the SmackDown feed. And of course, you got to subscribe to Bob, and I'll let you wrap it up, man.
Absolutely. I can be found on Twitter at Bob's3Toad, on YouTube at Bob's3Toad Warriors. The shows are the Thursday live stream that you're hearing right now that replays on Friday. You want to follow both feeds because I do fun stuff like hot ones, interview style fun. We're going to have a good time with stuff like that. And Kyle has his own stuff. We throw our own little sprinkle in there and it's a good time. That sounded really wrong. Ignore it. That's it for this show. Just remember, hit the waiver wire, set your lineups, dominate your opponents. Until next week, we'll see you.
See ya.
Gotta sprinkle it. Tinder Connection.